and welcome to the Cultivating Calmness Podcast. Today, I want to talk about the exciting ACA conference that is coming to Ohio, and not just Ohio, but Columbus, where I am located, here in a few short weeks. In April, from the 9th to the 11th, the ACA, the American Counseling Association, will be here in Columbus, Ohio, at our convention center for several days of counseling, networking, and uh, um, promotion, sessions, trainings, all of the things. And I have attended several national conferences over the years, but I've never attended the ACA conference. And so I am actually really excited to attend this year's ACA. And I just wanted to share, if you are somebody who has thought about attending a conference, whether it's just a local conference or a national conference, what you can expect and maybe some things you might consider doing while you attend. And if you are debating whether you should attend, maybe listen to this and you will decide whether you want to attend or not. So I am the president of the Central Ohio Counseling Association. That is a chapter of the OCA, Ohio Counseling Association. And with that, we try to promote all kinds of events and things and activities for for the counseling profession. And so with that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the ACA conference since it is coming up, and would love for our members and those around not just the city, but even the state to attend some of that, if not all of that, if they are able to. And what makes again, I've never attended the ACA conference, so I can't say specifically what may be happening down at the ACA conference, but I have attended grief conferences and in different cities around the country. And one of the things I like best about going somewhere else is that you get to potentially explore that place that you're in. Now, depending on how much you want to get into your conference. So you can be the person, who I have definitely been, who is like, well, I'm paying for this conference. I'm going to this conference. I'm going to get everything out of it that I possibly can. So if there's 6 sessions a day, I'm going to every session. I'm not going to miss one. And I'm going to do that however many days it lasts. And I'm only going to take the breaks that they give me to take. And I've definitely done that. And I think there are pros and cons to doing things that way. So, going to every possible session that you can. If you're paying a lot of money, you as a clinician, we're typically, part of that is paying for CEUs. Those are the clinical hours that we need for education that we have to turn in to show that we've gotten our continued education. That's what that stands for, that are required for our license. So, if I'm paying several $100s, and those are sometimes the cheaper ones, sometimes they're, a lot more. I want to make sure that I'm getting the courses that I'm paying for. So totally understandable. But sometimes it can be a lot of information. You're picking and choosing which sessions you want to go to because they sound interesting to you. Maybe you're trying to learn more about that subject. Maybe you already know about that subject and you're trying to educate yourself more, just have a refresher. Maybe somebody is presenting on that subject. Lots of different reasons that you may attend a specific session. And so that's a benefit, is, you're getting your CEUs, you're learning a lot. One of the downsides is it can be very exhausting, just mentally exhausting. You're sitting in a room for an hour and a half long session, and you're taking all this information in, and it may seem like, well, I didn't do much, but it takes a lot of mental energy, to sit through that and take notes. I'm usually trying to take notes so I can recall what it is that I was learning. And, you're not getting much of a break, so you're not necessarily getting to meet other people who are there. You may have some interaction with them in the interchange between sessions, but you may not be really having a lot of in-depth conversations unless those are like involved in the session, which a lot of them don't end up being like hands-on. Some are, if that's what they are advertising that they're doing. So, that would be the downside to hitting every session, that you are paying for and not taking any breaks. I've seen people talk about and experience, going to sessions and going to conferences, and you maybe skip a session or two, or you don't necessarily go to all of them. Maybe you plan to go to them, but then you meet somebody and you have a conversation and you just decide to, skip a certain session. Or you sleep in, or you do something in the morning or in the evening instead of going to those early morning sessions or those later evening sessions. And you can get that benefit of networking and, forming new friendships and making those new connections and, just building and establishing, your network and who you are and, with some of the community, which you wouldn't really be doing if you were in all the sessions because you're not going to be talking and communicating. So different ways of looking at how to attend a conference. And I wouldn't say there's one right way or one wrong way to do it. I personally want to take in as much information as I can, but I also want to try to attend some of those extra events. So oftentimes what I have seen in, especially like the bigger conferences, some will have an app or some kind of usually an app now. It may have been like boards or things where events or meetings were posted. Sometimes groups will send out emails to their their list to invite them to attend some kind of party or get together or after event, whether it's on site at the place or whether it's nearby at some other restaurant or location, so that attendees can meet up with other attendees who are like-minded or of the same organization or something like that. Or there are things that maybe people who are attending might plan, and it's like, we're gonna go do a ghost tour of the city, or we're gonna go, to this event. We're gonna take a boat tour. We're gonna do, this, that, or the other. We're meeting at this place at this time. If you'd like to join, be here at this time, and we'll go together. So I have personally done that. I have personally made connections with people who I now still have connections with. And even though we don't see each other, we now have the kind of social media connection, and we follow each other. And now if and when we attend the same conference, we look for each other and, we share that camaraderie, and we know that we know each other from these past events, and it's actually kind of cool to be able to make those connections with people, and know that people like you kind of exist elsewhere in the country or around the world doing what you do in their own space, and who you could potentially learn things from and build off of and, connect with and bounce ideas off of and, share information with. And so that's another benefit to making those outside connections, is then you also get to know those people on a personal basis and not just a, professional basis. Like, hey, who are you? Where are you from? What's your business name? Ah, okay, cool. And then we're into a session and we're learning, versus you hear their story, you know why they got into what they do and how they're doing it and all of more of those like details. Oftentimes they may have meals, whether that's a planned breakfast or dinner or lunch or something like that, and an area where you can have those meals, sitting down at a table. And, just because you don't know somebody at the table doesn't mean you can't sit down and have a meal with them and get to know them and introduce yourself and make those connections. So rather than maybe eating breakfast in your room or eating breakfast at home, since the ACA is going to be here, I'm not going to get a hotel. I will just drive down, each morning. But the opportunity may be to come down earlier and, eat with the people that are here, so that I'm not like isolating at home, and I'm making those connections with people that I don't know, people that I do know. And that offers that opportunity to be able to make those connections, is attending those things because you're here. I think I said uh, that you going to a new city. So if you're coming from outside of Ohio, or even if you live in Ohio, but you don't get to like maybe see all the things, or you don't get to come to Columbus and see things, it gives you an opportunity to explore the city, to see the things that go on around town, and do new things. So I've been to several other states that I hadn't been to, and I gotten to explore different things that I've never done before. So those things have been really cool. Those are memories that I have, that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So I took those opportunities after, all the presentations, after all of the sessions were done, but I made sure to try to schedule something so that I could go see the things that were, cool about this city. So I wasn't just going to the sessions and then going home and never really got to experience what was going on. So some people may choose to tack on days before or after a conference so that they can explore that city a little more, versus maybe a few hours here and a few hours there. So that is an option. That's something you may consider is, hey, I'll tack on a day before and tack on a day after so I can give myself time to see all the sites and do some things around the city I've never been to. And if you are able to, that would be, maybe something to consider doing. There have been conferences that I've considered going to that I haven't, where that was something I would have done had I gone, is to add an extra day or two, or maybe tack on a family vacation onto the conference so that you can explore and do other things in the area, not just the conference itself. So going to a conference has lots of like educational opportunities, but also a lot of social opportunities, and vacation type opportunities where you can do fun things. It doesn't have to be all serious. I would suggest having something available for like networking. So whether that's having a journal that you're able to write things down on, or if you have like that dot app thing on your phone where you share your contact information, or having your business card, being able to share that with people so they can reach out to you and vice versa. Those are all like helpful things. Getting involved, if there are things you can sign up for, little extra events here or there. Maybe it means waking up early and coming into some kind of yoga event, or something that a group is hosting. Maybe it's some organization you're a part of, but you never really do anything with them. Maybe you now show up because, hey, they're having a group meeting at some point during the conference. Oftentimes, like, they'll be several days long, so each evening they may have something going on, whether it's hosted by the primary host, like the ACA, or maybe it's a local host, or maybe it's an organization or a school or something, maybe hosting something for you to take part in. So I just encourage you to get involved, whether you're attending the ACA or whether you are planning to attend some other conference. There's lots of things that you can usually do. Meeting people can be hard sometimes, but it's also can be really fun, and it can lead to potentially lifelong friendships with people that you weren't expecting. So that's kind of like my experience with attending a conference. I would encourage you to try some of those things and maybe form some kind of group or join some kind of group or activity if there is something planned. Maybe you start something on your own and get people involved and do that. But either way, you can have fun and learn things at a conference. It doesn't have to be all serious. So if you plan to attend the ACA conference, I will be there. And feel free to introduce yourself to me. I would love to meet you. And I will see you there.